ahead and call this meeting to order. Shelby County Supervisors, September 6, 2022. You gentlemen have any conflict of interest on anything on the agenda today? Okay. Mark, is there any additions, corrections with the agenda?
No.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented then?
The second edition I sent out had Tony on it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I have a motion by Darren. Second by Charlie to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Been able to look over the claims for the end of the month.
Yes. Motion approved.
Motion by Charlie, second by Darren to approve the claims as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Approval of the minutes from August 16th. Any changes there, Mark?
No, sir.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as presented.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Darren, second by Charlie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Chamber of Commerce report, Todd Delaney. Good morning, Todd.
Morning.
Morning, Todd.
Coming off a great weekend.
Yeah. It was nice.
Hope there was a good attendance out there at Carson's Farm Days because they had the perfect weather for it. Did see a couple of pictures of their potato harvest, so if you need some potatoes there. They got a few out there. Just a quick reminder and then a few counter items. With that change that's taking place now this year in the school lunch program, so there's no more free lunches for the kids, the food pantry is just really getting hit hard. So garden extra produce, if you got some canned goods laying around that you've got in your cupboard and you can get rid of, it'd be great if you could just get them over to West Central and make a donation. They're 7th Street office, and folks can call 755-5135 for just times and information like that. But yeah, that food pantry is really, really in high demand right now. As we all know, the bond election is going on right now, and just a reminder, the last campaign informational meeting, if folks haven't attended one, will be Monday, September 12th. The day before the polls open on the 13th.
What's the location and time of that, do you know?
It is at the United Methodist Church here in Harlan, and it's at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Saturday is the Alzheimer's Association's Walk to End Alzheimer's, so that'll be at Pioneer Park. Registrations begin at 9, and then the walk will start at 10:15. And it just so happens there's also going to be a fundraiser going for the Animal Rescue League, kind of our countywide animal shelter, on the same morning across the street at Potter's Park. So you can go participate in the Alzheimer's Walk and then go over and meet some of the animals that they're looking to adopt out and have a little bit of lunch. And then finally on Sunday, starting at 4 o'clock, is the annual Panama one-room schoolhouse event. So you go at 4 o'clock and they'll give some history of the schoolhouse. They have some of the family members that either attended the school or some of the teachers. They talk a little bit about it. And then at 5 o'clock they'll be having a meal across the street at the parish hall. And it's kind of a free will donation, but you can suggest a donation of $10 for the meal. Be a nice pulled pork sandwich and all the sides. So a good couple of things to do this weekend, and just again, a reminder to try to support that food pantry. They can really use the help right now.
Okay. Hey, speaking of the bond issue, when's the last day for absentees to vote?
The last day you can absentee vote in my office on second floor is Monday, the 12th.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks, Todd. Tony Buman says for consideration of tax abatements. Good morning.
Good morning. So every year when tax bills come out, we find out about some things that aren't necessarily as intended, clerical things or situations where there was note to do something but it didn't get followed through, or something didn't transfer between the two systems we use computer-wise. So I have 3 for you here today, and the first one is the City of Tenet. It's basically some land that's right away. It was platted out for a street. It was under one class code in our system. We updated it to a different class code, and the exemption didn't carry over. So on that one, they were asking for a $12 bill to be abated.
Okay.
The second one is a manufactured home, or in the vernacular, it would be a mobile home. This is an old one that had been actually abandoned for years. Supposedly it was supposed to have been removed like 10 years ago. It wasn't. The people that were responsible for it were sick and so on. So this one here, again, it's not been there for some years. It's, what was the tax bill? Like $8 most recently, but there's $1,700 of back taxes and penalties. So,
How does that handle? Was it there then?
no, most of this has been incurred
So it's
since
just
it's
been
been
an
gone.
oversight?
It's just been an oversight, and the family's been getting the bills and the penalties and hasn't said anything or done anything about it. And now that one person passed away and another family member is dealing with it, and it's like, yeah, this needs to be dealt with there. So it's it's an $8 or $10 bill a year for technically something that hasn't been there probably for 10 years, but the penalties and so on are what's really made that large number there.
And then,
So you won't
did the
go in.
did the person that passed away is the one that owned it?
It wasn't even a part of the land. It was what we call a building on leased land. So one person had it on someone else's land, so it's difficult for the treasurer to do anything about it because there's nothing to...
Okay, well, if you're
Tax
sure
sale.
it wasn't there during that time.
Yeah, we have very clear records that
Okay.
say that it hasn't been there.
And it can't be sold on the tax sale either, that's why it's uncollectible. That way you have to do small claims
Sure.
or
Okay.
something.
Okay.
And then the last one is where the new water tower is in the city of Portsmouth. It's owned by the city, should be exempt, but the paperwork didn't come through till after everything went through, so we're talking about a $12 abatement there.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Sounds like pretty straightforward.
Yep, they're all pretty straightforward. They all need to be changed to reflect what's really there, and I will get Mark and Carolyn the detailed information they need for their records.
Okay. You guys have any questions about them?
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
Do I have a motion to approve the
all
three
three.
tax abatements? Darren?
Second.
Motion by Darren, second by Charlie. Any other questions for Tony? If
No.
not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Treasurer's semi-annual report submission and approval. Carolyn, good morning.
Good morning.
Mark, Carolyn.
Good morning. Mark, do you want a copy as well?
I'll see it. Thank you.
Sorry, you're in a reachable distance now, I'm not used to that.
Boy, made it little.
It is little. The reason for the delay in getting this to you, as I'm sure you know from other prior updates, the software company conversion, and we had to work with them to prepare our semi-annual report this time, bringing those two softwares together. So that's why the look of this is quite different. It's on Excel as opposed to the generated one that normally is done through the software company. But with the merging of those two, this is what they helped us come up with. So I do certify that the treasurer's ending balance on that is in balance. It's been a long time coming.
How are
They
things?
just completed this
You
process
feel
for us last
comfortable
week.
with it now?
We're working through a few, things come up that are unusual
Right.
or
First time.
day-to-day, first-time things. So the training is ongoing, but I feel like overall we have a good handle on how the system should work. It's just a matter of explaining to them what our situations are and having them assist with getting
And it balances now.
and it balances.
Great.
Any
Along
line
with all the
item-
other monthly ones up to this point.
Any line item concerns that,
No.
that changes from?
No, and that's where we were, is some of the conversion processes weren't coming over correctly, and so we had to make some journal entries and get those corrected. But it's all good now.
What happened, my opinion, is they finally got the people solving our problems, they finally got it in competent hands. And it was fixed as soon as they did that. They kept trying different things through different networks and people, and it was crazy. And all of a sudden, we go back to the person that we started with that doesn't work in that department anymore, but they put them back on here and they fixed it.
The unfortunate part is when you make a call in for support, you don't get the same person all the time. So then you're reinventing that wheel all the time and explaining everything, and they don't, and for the most part, I would say overall, most counties are all the same as far as how things are done, but yet they're not. So one person helping Shelby County, helping another county is completely different. So explaining our processes. So last week when I was at ISAC, I communicated with them loud and clear. And so then we got one of the previous people back on it, and she was able to help get this finalized for us. So had to do a few journal entries and
Going forward, do they have the personnel now that they need?
no, because as Mark explained, the person that is really of the understanding and started off the process, but then she took on another job within the company since then. We didn't have her until just this last week again. They just assigned her just to get this wrapped up, so.
And
yeah.
the gentleman that's been helping me in the auditor's department things is from Iowa. He's good. I tried to get a hold of him last week and he said, I'm not available for 2 weeks. He's booked up with appointments. He just,
And they don't just do Iowa, they do multiple states, and they
Yeah.
do cities, and they do, clerk's offices, and they do a lot of different things, so.
yeah,
That being said,
it's a constant. The big one's out of the
Additions
way.
or, like I said, like Darren asked, any concerns?
no concerns. Balance is about the same as last year, so the only thing that increases it a little bit more is that the ARPA money, that, and then our
Right.
health insurance fund, those, keep increasing as with little to no expenses on it, but anyways, overall.
Okay. Have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Charlie, second by Darren. Any other questions, guys? Carolyn? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Do you want the department head report now,
Sure.
or do you want that later?
No, you can now.
Just a few little rundown quick things. Property tax statements, sticking with the property tax side of the office, property tax statements were mailed out on August 10th. We just happened to, other counties were actually having software issues, and I was able to work through mine and find the errors, and so we kind of jumped in ahead of a lot of other counties as far as mailing. Normally, they don't go out until more towards the middle to the end of August, but they got a time slot in for us on August 10th, so they went out about a week or two earlier this year. So tax payments are being accepted anytime through September 30th without penalty in the office, online, in person, by mail, all payment methods. We recently finished due to the delay of the software company, fiscal year-end reports were completed and balanced completely as well last week, now that we were able to wrap up the semi-annual report with the software company. So moving ahead, hopefully things will be a little bit more timely. Motor vehicle and driver's license. The last year, the DOT is offering multiple different education and outreach once a month for 1-hour sessions. They offer a morning and afternoon session. It's online using the internet. They just send us a link. These are mandatory DOT sessions with current updates and changes in the law for all county team members to attend to be able to process transactions. Sometimes it's a little difficult while trying to have staff get these training completed during work hours. Some staff may be unavailable to the public even when they're at their desks. So we try to rotate, do a couple in the morning and a couple in the afternoon. But these are mandatory things, and they are forever changing and trying to keep up with, like I said, the laws. Some things are a little bit more complicated. These aren't just the day-to-day things. These are, JSIs and junking and salvage, insurance topics, abandoned vehicle processing, motor vehicle stops with SR22 insurance, ordering personalized plates, descendant vehicle transfers. Some of the upcoming ones are motor carrier and truck, and Department of Revenue concerning vehicle title transactions. And then foreign national issuance on driver's license, that's a biggie. We are getting more and more. Here lately, we've had several people coming in from South Africa that we've been having to issue driver's licenses on. So those are time-consuming and they take a lot more.
Twice South Africa too.
I think they're partnering with someone here locally with some farm things, so they're getting their driver's licenses and IDs and that. So yeah, we've seen several of them last week. So all of those training sessions offer the essential tools that we need to be able to do our day-to-day jobs. Very helpful. So I know it's difficult to understand sometimes when we may have customers at the counter and we're having to be in tune with something else. I think sometimes we maybe need to have a separate location just to remove them from the office to be able to do that. So this is something that they've just been doing the last few months just because the need is there so much, and the education and outreach team on the DOT is very good about, if we send them, not we, as in like all 99 counties, send them a topic that needs some assistance with, and they make up a training for it. So they're very helpful. Electronic titling. We're seeing more and more title transactions being submitted to us electronically. These are for new vehicle purchases, and with the law that allows contiguous counties to process their title transactions in any neighboring county, some of these include out-of-county title transactions for residents who are not from Shelby County. We're able to get that information electronically. If people so choose, they can come pick up their paperwork with their plates. But just in comparison from July to August, our numbers have tripled. So we are seeing
On those types of transactions?
On those type of transactions, on the electronic title transactions being signed electronically. So the dealerships are offering them and people are, utilizing that. So
we were kind of questioning whether or not people would use that since they would get a Shelby County plate versus a...
Well, not all of them are Shelby, not all of them are out of county. They're both Shelby County and
Okay.
out of county.
Okay.
Which I'll get to
Okay.
a little bit more later as far as some of the out of county
All right.
transactions. But yeah, so these are both. And right, they do get the Shelby County plates. Unless it was a trade-in vehicle, then they get to keep their own plates. So even that's not a concern, so in some situations. It just creates more time in processing as far as like the financial postings on the administrative side, because we have to treat all those transactions differently because the payment methods come in differently. So it takes a little bit more time consuming to process those. Also, personalized plates effective July 15th, 2022, the DOT will only accept personalized plate applications and payments through the MyMVD online process. So just so that customers are aware of that, obviously we're educating our customers, but they're implementing that change because the online ordering process to provide the best method to order and pay for is a popular but non-essential service. So they currently are about 3 months behind. Normally, personalized plate orders only would take about 4 to 6 weeks to come in. They're about 3 months right now. Part of that is due to prison industries having shut down for different situations here lately, the aluminum shortage. But overall, they are, the DOT is wanting those to come in online. It's just a time saver on their end. It avoids the problems for the customers, such as ordering a message already in use or that is known to be prohibited. Then they get the correct payment method, not the correct payment method, but the correct payment. Because sometimes when people were sending them in, they might send in the check for the wrong amount and then they'd have to return it and things like that. However, the plates still come into our office. We still have to process those, contact our customer, and assign the plate, the actual plate to them by having them turn in their old plate. So it still goes through our office. It's just the payment method and the actual ordering. Some of the concerns that the DOT mentioned about that is that, people might not have internet or computer access, and they recognize that for those situations, they advise that the customers go through friends, family, or public locations such as libraries, or a cell phone with internet capabilities. Secondly, the payment methods, that was another thing that they brought up as far as people might not have credit or a debit card to pay online. For those situations, the DOT advises that preloaded debit cards are available for purchase at many retail locations, that customers can use the credit or debit card of a friend or family member. So just a little bit different. So it's convenient for some people if they're, wanting to do that after office hours. They can order those online, and it tells them right away if the plate's available or not, or if they can get the plate.
So we have like this information on our website?
It's on the DOT website. I think that's where I steer most people to, because if we were to try to keep up the treasurer's website and the county website with all that information, the DOT has it on there, so we just refer customers to iowdot.gov.
Okay, so you have that on our website?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
or anything like that. So, and then we refer, like I said, the DOT, that'll actually probably be one of my next department meeting reports, is that the DOT is revamping their website, and it should probably go into effect probably sometime November, December timeframe. So,
Okay.
but it's a great tool to use, and we have a lot of pamphlets and handouts and things in our office too. So when people are coming here to our
Okay.
office, that we can steer them in that direction. I'm not sure if you've heard or not, but Cass County Treasurer's Office has been closed since May, so that's had a huge impact on our office for
Why
all
is
different
that? I
functions.
didn't know that.
All of their staff resigned back in May.
Okay.
So they had, everyone left there, and so we have been helping to not only train them in our office, they've been sending people here, individuals. For example, here about 2 weeks ago, they had hired someone on Monday and they sent them to our office on Wednesday for training. So we were helping to teach them from literally the ground up.
Wasn't there one other office that lost personnel there too? Or was it just the treasurer's thing they lost?
I think there's something here recently with the auditor's office, but I'm not sure about the details on
A
that.
longtime employee of the auditor's office started doing the auditor's duties. They were appointed auditor after you could run for the primary. This person assumed they were going to get appointed by the party that they belong to, the political party they belong to, and the political party appointed an outsider. And so this person isn't running for auditor.
Okay.
So the treasurer's office down in Cass County just reopened their office last week to some driver's license functions, not all, but some. They're, like most counties, they're doing it by appointment too, but they are not doing any car drives. They are not doing much with CDLs, some of the other vision or nationals. They're, it's going to be a while before they're completely trained. There's a lot to take in. So not only have we been seeing a high number of people from Cass County coming here for their driver's license needs, but a lot of phone calls too, and a lot of phone calls from Cass County employees, asking us questions and coming here for training as well. So, it only helps them and helps us if we can help get them trained and get them back on get their doors back open. So they were closed for property tax and motor vehicle and driver's license. Everything was closed completely. So and not taking any phone calls. So a lot of things were coming our way, and I'm sure other surrounding counties felt the same impact. But we were like right now, our car drives are extended out for longer than they ever have been. We're out a few weeks for car drives.
CDLs again.
We are doing CDLs again, yes. In fact, that's been kind of taken off quite well. I think I have a note here, yeah. We have 3 scheduled for tomorrow. CDL drives typically take about 2 hours each for the exam to complete, and we have 3 of them scheduled for tomorrow. So Dan's off and going with that. We have tablets that he's going to be trained on here. Next week, we have someone coming out from the DOT to help with training. They're trying to get away from paper and doing the tablets, so he'll be training with a DOT person from Ames next week that's coming here. Tablet just hasn't been converting the information quite right, so they're going to come out and take a look at it and see because we can load the tests on there, load the test scores on there. And the intention is for it to communicate with our based computer, our issuance computer in the office, so it's right, working like it should, so. And get assistance with that. Let's see. Just in partnership with the Iowa Donor Network, we have a certificate of completion from the donor network. Every time someone comes into our office, we ask them if they want to be an organ donor. So with that partnership, we have a certificate of appreciation from the Iowa Donor Network that just came in last week. More than glad to do that. The need is definitely there. Also, with driver's license and IDs, I'm not sure if I mentioned this the last time, but it's always good just to inform the public and remind them that when coming into our office for driver's license and IDs, we do ask for 2 emergency contacts. That's not us, that's the DOT and law enforcement, so that if there would ever be an emergency situation, that information is in the DOT system. It doesn't go on your ID or your driver's license, but it's in the system. So if there was ever, like I said, an emergency situation and law enforcement would need to contact someone on your behalf, then it's in there. With everyone getting away from landlines and whatnot, it's hard to make those calls in an emergency situation. So just when people are calling in, we remind them that they need to have that, and they suggest 1 immediate household member and 1 non-immediate household member, somebody that you may not potentially be driving with. Handicap placards, a little bit something new on that. New house file listed occupational therapists and physical therapists to the list of medical professionals that can hand out handicap placards. The note that they bring into our office, it has to be on their letterhead or their prescription notepad that they can get a handicap placard. So it used to be just medical doctors and that. So there's a little bit more flexibility with that. People who may not always see those type of conditions. So also I just want to remind people that we're having those continued conversations with our customers about the real ID, so they're prepared for that May 3rd deadline. When you do any flying whatsoever or go to any federal buildings, it's a requirement to have that on your driver's license beginning May 3rd of 2023. Currently Shelby County, just most recently the update that I have from August 8th is that Shelby County is 11th on the list. So for all the counties in Iowa and the state locations, so I'm pretty proud of that fact that, and I want to applaud our office for doing that, because come that time in May, people are going to have to be scrambling to get it put on their IDs or their driver's license. And I just want to remind people that when you do get the paper copy issued in our office, that's just good for 30 days. That does not have that real ID on it. So you need to plan well in advance if you're going to be doing any traveling May 3rd or after, that you would have to come in at least 30 days in advance to make sure that that's on your driver's license or your ID. So.
Okay.
One last thing about that. We've also, something came out recently with the DOT that driver's license fees waivers for military members and veterans. The bill requires us to waive the fee for chauffeurs or commercial license for an active duty military member or a veteran with an honorable discharge. So driver's license and is at no charge to those. And this is a that's 10 pages long that explains all the ins and outs of that, so I won't go into great detail on that, but it's a great feature for those military people and veterans, that they don't have to be charged for those type of endorsements on their driver's license. So
What's going on?
Yeah.
Good.
Any questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to move something up on the agenda. We have a couple employees sitting here, so I'm going to move up to the wellness coordinator and safety coordinator appointments for January 1st. So who's going to address that?
I will.
Okay. Morning, Bryce.
Morning. Due to my pending retirement, Safety Committee did an exhaustive search for people to replace me as wellness coordinator and safety coordinator.
Okay.
These two have came to the top, Jake Holloway and Melissa Arkfeld, to do Melissa wellness, Jake safety. And I guess just need your approval to make that official.
And I'm sure both are on board and
No arm twisting?
willing to take the challenge on.
That's right.
Okay. I think we got
Melissa
some
does
good
a lot
ones
of
there.
that anyway, so.
And this gives me a little time to work with them about the ins and outs. Jake and I have met a couple times already.
And this comes as a recommendation from the safety committee?
Correct.
Okay.
So,
Give you two have anything you want to add to it, or no? Okay.
Okay, I would make a motion.
Brandon?
I just have one question. It says on there effective January 1st. I didn't know if you wanted to make it Bryce's retirement
Yeah.
date instead of.
November 2nd is my last day, so.
Okay.
Melissa, it's not as big a deal because the new program won't start till January 1st, but.
Yeah, it'll be over by then, won't it?
Yeah. October 31st, the wellness program ends, so.
Still make her-
So the safety coordinator would start November 1st, say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we just make them both start that,
Yeah,
even though,
Yeah.
Don't wanna make
It's up
much
to you
difference.
guys.
yeah.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
we can do that. Both positions effective November 1st. Do I have a motion to that?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Darren. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you guys for doing
Thanks,
that.
guys.
Thanks for stepping up.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Bryce.
Yep.
Next on the agenda, auditors report, election and general election, software installation, building and grounds.
Well, we covered the software installation already. We covered the election coming up.
Yep.
And so the only other thing on building and grounds, Iowa Community Kitchen has left down there. They're gone. So that big,
When did they leave, Mark?
they aren't gonna pay for September.
Okay, so they're just, are
I
they
have
all
not
out?
inspected it yet.
Are
and
they all
Penny's down there today
Okay.
looking. Yep,
Okay,
she'll let me know.
so that would be available for rent?
Yeah,
Okay.
Whatever-
Do you have any interest, or had any interest on it? Okay,
so,
okay.
yeah. So I don't know what to do. Also, trees, we have an ash tree that's dying on the north side here. Of course we do. That's the only one we've got. We're lucky. And while we're at it, there's a hollow linden tree on the west sidewalk. We're just
Did
waiting for it to
APs
fall down, or we're gonna cut it down. I believe it'd be prudent to
Let's get it down.
get it down.
Yep.
Did we ever get the trimming done that was supposed to be done?
What they could do from the street and from the sidewalks without getting a big truck on the.
It'd be nice if we could get somebody in there now, as hard as the ground is. By then it'll cause it to rain.
You can't, yeah, tree trimmers
it's just-
are hard to find. Judge Larson was kind enough to share a name with me, but he was from Underwood.
There's a one in Alcorn too.
Yeah, and Brolin, or,
Yeah.
Pearson, yeah.
yeah, but,
He
yeah.
does my trees.
Does a good job too.
Yeah.
We gotta make sure we
Getting
open
them
it up
to
to
do
the
it.
local guys too.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah, well, and
opinion.
Yeah.
we did that one for the trimming.
I mean, we need to
And
probably
then the
reach out
guy
to them
who
again.
got the bid didn't show.
Didn't
So
show, yeah, so we need to move on.
it's tough, but yeah, I'll try locals first.
Okay,
Yeah.
And see if we can't get that done. And if we ever get started on that sewer project, I've talked to them about the little bit of
inside. the
sump
building.
pumps.
Yeah,
And that tree, if it was gone, might make their job a little easier,
okay.
you
Okay,
know, going out to the street
Right.
there.
So where are we at on the tuck pointing and windows
I
and
hit him up.
landscaping?
I said, somebody's gonna ask me. I said, give me an answer, and he said, probably the end of September. It seems like when you call somebody, a month, they'll always give you a date, a month and a half out. Because I told them with inflation, that if you told us you were gonna do $20,000 worth of work with inflation,
We've already lost,
we're getting
yeah.
less and less work
right,
out of them. He says, no, I'm not gonna do that. Okay,
okay.
so we'll see. And they're gonna start on the boiler room first, that corner of the building, inside.
That's good.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I just wanted to let you guys
Yeah,
know.
no, appreciate that.
And then also, the TIF debt certificates, it's in front of you. The state legislature requires me to file this with them every year. The bottom line on the front page says negative 218,856. But you look at the number right above it, 82,800. That's what we got in the bank. That's what we've already borrowed ourselves. I mean, that money goes back against that 218,000. That 218,000 is approximately what we'll receive fiscal year 2023 from the state.
And this is for secondary road projects.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
That's the only thing we have tip for.
Yeah. This is, after 6 years, I have to relearn this every year. It's tough. But in a nutshell, that's what it is, and I need board approval to submit it to the state.
Motion.
Motion by Charlie,
Second.
second by Darren. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay,
That's it. Corley Community Club liquor license.
okay.
I've never heard a complaint down there,
Motion to approve.
anything.
Second.
Motion by Darren, second by Charlie. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye for the Corley Community Liquor License.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Anything else, Mark?
No.
Okay. Any other department heads here? Want to give a report? Okay.
Is Nick supposed to be here, or what's the? next-
Beaver Bounty, continuation of the $6,000 budgeted for 2023, which starts November 5th to April 15th. 20 beaver limit turned in once, at once, and 20 per week per application. And as we've stated in the past, it's first come, first serve, and when the money's gone, the money's gone.
Right.
So, has that been an issue? I haven't heard that before.
I don't
Is it
think-
bringing in more than 20 to
Yeah,
time?
yeah, it
has
was.
been an
I mean,
issue.
somebody would just, like,
Unload.
April 14th, they'd bring in a truckload. You're going, wait a minute,
And
the
then all the
money
money's
left,
done,
what are
yeah.
you doing?
Yeah.
Or somebody would do
Yeah,
that.
that's,
But this has fixed that, because we
Yeah.
did
Somebody
this
would do it in December, and the money was gone, and nobody else got to participate.
well, they're really gambling too,
Mhm.
you know, waiting with it like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
this is something your board has talked about, conservation.
I believe we have a line on it in our budget, and you appropriate that money. This might already be done when you approve the budget. This is just a formality
Yeah,
to make
I was
sure,
gonna say, I
it'll
can't
make sure
remember.
It
people
gets it out in
know.
public too.
Yes,
Because last year we just increased it by 1,000, I didn't know if that was staying on
went
or
from 5
not.
to 6,
Yeah.
yes. And
But
so
we're
this-
leaving it on.
We budgeted
Okay.
6 this
Okay,
year.
very good.
Yep.
Okay, do I have a motion to continuation of Beaver Bounty?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Darren. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, Brandon, secondary roads report. Good morning.
Hi, Charlie. Item I have on the agenda, wage discussion. I've been talking to Galloway. I know I kind of brought it up with you, Steve, about looking at a foreman wage scale. Currently, we don't have anything, so start.
That's something we talked about a little bit, if you guys remember, at budget time last year, and never really followed
Yeah.
through with it, so.
And I've been talking to Galloway, should have something for when we do the next budget cycle, talking about that, but in discussions with him, kind of looking at what the foremen are making compared to other counties. Our bridge foreman, he's lacking behind what other counties are, so I would like to give him $1 raise right now, and then we'll review the rest of the foremen at budget time.
It needs to be reviewed at
Absolutely.
budget time, because
Absolutely.
I look too at the counties around us, and that's usually what we compare with, and he's is substantially lower for the time he's got here and for what he does, but I feel we need to address a little bit of it right now, but really take a look at it at budget time.
Yes.
And this is something you would have in your budget, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
A suggestion, the yearly review time would also be a time to,
Right,
Well, if he
right.
gets that.
Yeah, But it would be nice
Galloway.
to have a wage scale, so.
Right.
The other problem I
You can-
ran into was the fact that there's no discrepancy between his foreman and people you supervise, and
Right.
there's very little wage difference, so.
And the
that's-
union
that's why-
employees already have their steps in place, and
Right.
I don't know why it's never been that way here, but something we really need to look at it and be fair to the employees that are out there.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the dollar increase for the foreman for bridge crew
No, I'll make that motion.
and look at a wage scale come budget time?
Yes,
Then motion by Charlie,
yes.
second by Darren. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
And then I just have a brief update. Got the big bow mag from Western. It's a Cat RM350, but it's a road grinder. So we're out doing some spots, pulling in some roads and grinding them with that. It does a pretty good job. Spots where we've scarified oil, but it's still big
Still
chunks.
there.
Will be up on Ironwood, north of 1100th.
Yeah, that's always an issue
Yep,
right there.
and then we're actually out on 1100th right now. So I think we're gonna do Cedar north of Portsmouth. That base was macadam, so when we did it the last time, there's still big rocks that float to the surface. So we're gonna bury it deep, and it'll go 9 to 12 inches deep and grind up. So we'll grind it. If it doesn't look good enough, we'll lay it back in the windrow and regrind. So Western works with us really well on renting that. So
Do you need to add, I'm not a road foreman, I'm just asking the question,
Yep.
but do you need to add, while you got it tore up, rock into that and get a better base?
we will if it needs it. These ones that we're doing have a relatively good base,
Okay.
but if we get it ground and we see
That'd be
that
the time
needs
to do
something-
it, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
we'll haul
do it.
rock out there.
Okay.
There's a
Especially like the
science-
ironwood, if it doesn't have it,
Yep.
so much traffic's that can.
Yep, there's a science to it, so
Yeah.
we got the sheep's foot and
Okay.
we have rollers mounted on maintainers, so those are out there too, and we'll roll it, water it in thin lifts and
Yep.
pack it in and do it the right way, so.
How many miles on ironwood there?
Oh, we're probably we're gonna leave the oil that's there, but we're gonna go up to, what is that, 1400th Street and do the spots in between from
Okay.
1100th up to
Okay,
1400th.
so about 3 miles.
Yep, but give or take,
Yeah.
there's that oil in front of the trap chute, in front of Kenny Scheckinger's, we won't be chewing that up.
That holding up okay?
Yes, yep, they do a good job of keeping theirs. I commend them, they do a fantastic
Yeah,
job.
that road gets a lot of traffic.
It does. The bridge crew's working on decking a bridge on Spruce Loop east of M47. Had some issues, the beams didn't line up, but we've been talking that through and should finish that up this week, so
Okay.
that'll be good. I believe I talked with all of you, a bridge on Woodland Road between 7th and 800th. Been looking at it every 2 months for 4 or 5 years. When we had our bridge audit at the beginning of August, they both kind of looked at me and said, it's probably time to close this, which I agree. It was getting to be the time. Actually, at the end of August, went out there and gave it kind of the final inspection, closed it, and then the gentleman that lives right next to it, he was home, so I stopped and talked with him, and he kind of saw it coming. Talked to Nick Preston this morning. The bridge that's there, it's a 3-ton high truss. There's nothing really wrong with the high truss, it's just 17-foot wide and all the substructure's rotten. So, for us to jack it up or to try to move it and put new substructure, we'd have $100,000 in it, and it's still height restricted, and it would still be embargoed, so it doesn't make any sense for us to dump a bunch of money into it. And we're not really set up for jacking bridges up like that. Talked to him just to see if the bike path between Portsmouth and Panama would have any interest in that structure. He was gonna talk to them and see. I'd ask Marcus, and he didn't see any issues with that if it was kind of a county to a county deal. So see where that goes. See if, I know with that one in Harlan, they had a lot of stipulations they had to follow, and we'll try to do the best we can finding information on that structure. But that's 1880s, 1870s, so that we don't have a whole lot of information on it. It's just been there and we kind of know what it is. And, but we'll see how that comes, and I'll let you gentlemen know if they have any interest. Otherwise, we'll probably just cut it up and scrap it because doesn't have any use for us.
What street is that, did you say?
Woodland,
Woodland.
north of 700.
It's out by Anderson. By Kittleton.
And then we'll probably vacate that crossing. The detour is only a mile, so the next road's a half mile away, and we put a new bridge on that 5 years ago. So.
And I'm sure you've talked to the landowner, and
Yep.
they understand.
Yep. So.
So do we abandon that road clear back to the intersection, or do we?
Wherever we can. We can't landlock anybody, but I'll talk to people.
Field interest.
Yeah, the gentleman to the north that lives there, he would like it vacated to his driveway.
Okay.
And it makes an attractive nuisance if you leave
Absolutely.
an eighth of a mile stub down to nothing.
Somebody's driveway.
And then he could farm
Right.
straight across it, so,
Roger and Dan and I think you were along when we lifted that bridge.
yes, yep. At that time.
Yeah, I saw it too. I was underneath there.
Yeah.
At that time, the
I
day
wasn't
was
gonna
shot.
walk on it. I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding. It wasn't that bad.
But I'll have, probably sometime this winter, we'll go through vacating the crossing, maybe after we get the bridge out there, so. Rock, we've been using local guys to haul in from Wall Lake and from Fort Calhoun, mixing as we go. We have the piles built so they can drive right over the top, and the maintainer just lays the rock together and mixes it as we go. That's working well. Probably 2 more train loads from Denison, and then they'll shut us off from that, so.
Yeah, the way Farmers Almanac look, we need to have a stockpile this year.
Yes, yep. So we'll get as much as we can when the local guys get pulled off. We'll look at our piles if we need to add more. There's other trucking companies we can call. I really like using the local guys just because, they're from the area, and, as long as we can keep them busy, it makes a lot of sense for both of us. And then the pipe crews, one is ditching on Maple south of F32. We pulled that road in, and I think he's replacing one cross tube and doing some ditching on that. And then the other is on 660th west of Ironwood, doing some ditching, and then they found a couple cross tubes that need some help out there. So that's where those guys are, and that's all I have for today.
Okay,
Thanks, Brandon.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Before we adjourn, I just gonna give a little update on where the ordinance is at for time frame for our pipeline ordinance. It's right now at planning and zoning. Sometime in the second half of September, they'll be having a public hearing on that. From the public hearing, they will be bringing a recommendation and notes to the Board of Supervisors, which I'm guessing will be probably around that first part of October. At that time, we will, with our attorney Tim Whipple, look at the recommendations, if any changes need to happen to the ordinance. And then we will set our 3 hearing dates, and they need to be, as Mark knows, we have to public notice and give so much time. And so realistically, we're probably looking, it will get started in October, and probably the earliest it would get finished would be in November sometime. It could run over to December. I'm just giving you an update of what I know. Planning and zoning, from the time they received it, they have 30 days to look over the ordinance and hold their public hearing. We also have, as Tim spoke at the last meeting, he's also intervened for the county with Iowa Utility Board, with getting the Iowa Utility Board to make sure the pipeline company follows through with looking at our comprehensive zoning. And that's part of 479B, the chapter pipelines. They're supposed to meet with local officials and make sure they're following local permits and local zoning ordinances. And so they haven't done that yet. They have on the right-of-way permit. They've had quite a few conversations with Brandon, but not on the zoning part. Because as Tim had said when we initially hired him, there's some things through rulemaking we're gonna wanna intervene with Iowa Utility Board. It'd be a better and faster process, knowing either way where we're at with that. And so they'll have to be addressing that here within the next month, so.
How many total interventions have been submitted, do you know? Sure.
I don't know how many, there's been a lot.
A lot, okay.
Have
The
asked.
ones I receive, I forward to you.
Yes, there's only been 2 by counties, and it's been Hardin County
Right.
and us so far, but I know there's
But there's been more.
some more talking about it.
There's, Farm Bureau has asked, Sierra Club has asked, there's a number that have asked to intervene, but it's just a matter of,
Right,
a lot of the
they-
counties are still trying to get organized, and
Right.
that's the problem with ordinances.
They've approved some of the interventions.
Right. They still haven't set a date, though, it's still February or March.
Okay, well, that's good.
and
Further away,
and the
better.
intervention is different than the objection, just to clarify. I mean,
Right.
we as a board objected to eminent domain, which has over 70% of the counties
Yeah,
that are
Pot
affected
County
by.
submitted theirs last week,
Yeah.
so.
So, anyway, I'll give an update at every meeting, but that's where we're at for now, so it's a process, so. Does anybody else have anything else?
I got one for Brandon. It's not a huge deal, but the rumble strips on F-32 before 191 are like nothing. So just, and to go both ways, it's going downhill to that intersection. So if somebody didn't know the road, they might zip through that stop sign.
Okay.
I just got one update on the mitigation site, stream mitigation in Erling. We thought that we had a remainder of our initial 15 credits sold. Somebody contested that sale, so it had to go back to
The DOT didn't connect it in.
properly. So it had to go back, and I think they're supposed to make that decision today on whether or not we got the bid on selling those credits. And they did also release our second 15% because everything's done at the site, so.
Good.
So, moving along there, just keeping our finger crossed that we get this.
How many, do you know how many credits were sold for the income that they have received in the past month?
How many credits were sold?
Didn't they?
We had initially like 5,200 and we sold some to begin with, and this was gonna take a remainder. We were only left with us with like 200 and some. So it would've gave us like over 100,000 in income, but we kind of, because of this
Okay.
contesting to
I get it.
we reduced our price by like $5, so we're gonna probably miss out on another extra $10,000 there, but I don't know, the process to me is just not good, so.
Well, maybe they'll improve it by
Yeah.
going through this.
Yeah.
Anything else?
that's all I
Okay,
got.
thanks, everybody. Meeting adjourned.